Hey y'all, it's Anime Gamer. Today I'm going to be reviewing episode 14 of Carole on Tuesday, and I gotta say, I rarely say this, but if y'all haven't seen this episode yet, I recommend y'all to see the episode first, then come back and see my review, because this review is going to have spoilers of things I wouldn't want to spoil if y'all haven't seen the episode yet, but you can continue on watching if y'all don't care about spoilers. Now, gotta say, this episode was by far the best one of Carole on Tuesday, and let me explain why. For one, it built off of all those sequences when you had Carole on Tuesday discuss things in regards to the topic of Carole's parents, like, is she ever going to pursue trying to look for them, and all that kind of jazz. And what I really enjoyed about this specific episode was, for one, it built off of that momentum wonderfully, because in this episode you get to see Carole's father, and in addition to that, we get to find out the circumstances as to why they couldn't take care of Carole and why she was left on a church on a snowy day. Because I like how in the second half of the episode you see Carole's father, Dan, pretty much explain the circumstances, how he was put in prison because he got into some trouble. He tried to plead self-defense, but they still ruled against his favor. And then at that time, Carole's mother was frail and weak, and she really didn't have the strength to take care of Carole, because at that time Carole's father was in prison and Carole's mother was dying of, I'm assuming, a sickness. And because after she left Carole near the church, soon afterwards, Carole's mother died, and we find out all this, and it was really, really heartbreaking. Like, literally, like in live reaction, I even teared up a bit, and I didn't even see this coming when I was doing live reaction. I was caught off guard. So, from an emotional standpoint, this episode did wonderfully, because usually animes do not get me that way. So, from an emotional standpoint, it was like marvelous. And if it wouldn't have had those sequences where Carole on Tuesday didn't discuss Carole's father, this wouldn't have had as much impact. And then you'll even see Carole tear up when she finds out all these circumstances. And what I love is after Dan finishes telling Carole, Carole's asked Dan to visit her once he gets out of prison. He serves his time, and then he agrees. And that was such a marvelous and wonderful sequence. And that right there was character development. Because we all got to remember, when Carole on Tuesday when Carole was discussing her own parents the Tuesday, she wasn't interested in knowing anything about her parents, because she was pretty much assuming that they just abandoned her. But now, after she finds out that that wasn't necessarily the case at all, they would have loved to have taken care of Carole, but just shitty circumstances didn't allow them to. It was nice to finally see Carole want to see his dad and Dan right after he gets out of prison. So that was a beautiful and wonderful sequence, and I love it. It really made for a nice impact, so gotta give it props to that. And then it developed Carole's character too, because she went from not wanting to know about her parents to not wanting to see her dad again. So that was beautiful. And then aside from that, I like how it shows you Dan's personality, because you can see he's not a greedy individual. You can see he really, really feels like he should atone for his sins, because, for one, he even says he would have been nice just having a glimpse of his daughter and all that. So that was a beautiful sequence. You can tell he's not a guy that self-imposes, that he's reflecting on most likely the negative actions he's taken in life. And in addition to that, when it comes to Dan, it shows you that he's not a greedy individual either, because he's not even asking for money from Carole either, like these random ass people that were pretending to be fucking Carole and Tuesday's parents kind of wanted. So that was cool too. You see Dan's maturity. So that's also what made the episode good. You get to see layers to his personality. And this episode also built up the political angle a bit more when it showed Tuesday's mother, where she's going to make some fake campaign promise where she's going to break some kind of trade agreement with Earth. It's going to cause a big ruckus if she goes with that. But then one of the advisors explains that you don't have to carry through with that shit at all, because usually in campaigns there are things that aren't followed through with, which feels realistic because in real life sometimes political candidates, doesn't matter which party, will make promises and they will not follow through with them. So I also like that element from Carole on Tuesday too. So that was also another nice element, showing that they're not ignoring that plot point. I just hope they can handle that plot point though, because if they focus too much on the political plot point, not enough on the music, it can make the final episodes feel rushed, because some animes have fallen apart, and hell, even some TV shows have fallen apart when they try to juggle in too much. But for now, I'm liking what I'm seeing. So that was a positive. And it's building up some tension between Tao and Angela, because Tao is making this simulation of Angela, and Angela's, you can even see she's worried that she might be replaced by the AI because Tao doesn't necessarily give a straight answer. So I like that too, building up some drama later on. You have Carole too. Some tension being built up possibly between herself and her mother, because this guy Kyle is trying to dig up dirt on her mother, and he gives information to Tuesday saying if you ever want to share something in the future, which who knows what's going to happen. So I like that, showing off that they're preparing everything so that the anime in the last few episodes can just fire off of all cylinders. So that was pretty cool. And in addition to all these plot points, this episode did well from a character standpoint. Aside from giving us Carole character development and some Dan characterization, I enjoyed how they had some fun characters introduced, like Toby too. Oh, because with Toby, he was hilarious, because when he first heard Carole and Tuesday's music, he thought it was shit, and then Carole and Tuesday thought they were not going to be taught. But then afterwards, he mentions he does want to teach them, and then he says he's going to turn their shit into polished shit, and that was hilarious. So there was some nice diamonds too. And I like his nice rough personality, like when he was having them practice, whenever they fucked up, he would like throw a beer can, at least in the first time they fucked up. That was hilarious. So I like that too, how Toby was an expressive character, and that was nice. He made for some nice character moments. And I like how they even had him factor in the plot too, because in the first half, after Carole and Tuesday had a satisfying practice up to his standards, he was like, now we're gonna make an album. So I like how they also advanced that plot point. So I'd say overall, from character and story standpoint, this episode did phenomenally. The animation and art were great. Maybe if I had to nitpick, there were some derpy faces when you had some long-range distance shots, but the close-up shots looked great for the most part, and the scenery looked beautiful. So overall, the art animation was beautiful. The voice performances were beautiful. The music was beautiful. And that's why I'm going to rate this episode an 11 out of 10. Honestly, this was Carole and Tuesday at its peak. And honestly, I cannot wait to see more, because wow, this was some fabulous stuff and I cannot wait. So anyways, everyone, these are my thoughts on the episode. Be sure to comment on your thoughts in the comments section below. Be sure to rate the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later if you come back for more. Alright, bye-bye, everyone.